Hello, welcome to this week's episode of The Digest. My name is Francesca. On Friday, 15th of July 2022, the Ministry of Education published the recruited 30,496 teachers in the 2022 teacher recruitment program. This is in accordance with the Ministry of Education's vision to provide accessible, inclusive, quality and lifelong education relevant to the needs of an individual, the nation and the world at large. This can be achieved by taking into account or considering many factors that include availability of teachers in schools. Is leaving 70,000 plus one of those factors to consider, or the 2022 recruitment is just but the beginning to bridge the gap that has been growing over the years?
As we may most recall that the recruitment of teachers arose from the pronouncement made by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, during the ceremony opening of the first session of the 13th National Assembly. Following the pronouncement by His Excellency on teacher recruitment, the Ministry of Education, together with its stakeholders, immediately commenced the process to ensure that teachers were recruited and deployed across the country accordingly. This is in a bid to improve the teacher-pupil ratio and ultimately enhance the quality of education. But unfortunately, not all of the 100,000 plus applications could be picked. Samson Chipeta, a voluntary arts teacher at Ngombe's Mindstone Basic School, is one of those teachers who applied for recruitment to be a teacher, but was not selected for the 5th time. Yet, he remains to be positive as he shares the experience of the 15th of July 2022 and moving forward.
To me, it was just like any other normal day. Yeah, the fact that we had the list of those that were picked. So, and it was expected that Friday it's going to be that way. Yeah, and to me it was normal because I had already prepared myself for the outcome, so I'd cancelled myself around. So it was a normal day, normal. This recruitment marks the 5th time I've been left out. The first one was in 2017 where I was left out. There was another one, should be somewhere 2018, and some other 2 recruitments later on. But now, basing on the disappointments, I should say, on the previous recruitments, they prepared me enough now to handle this other one which we just had. Yeah, because in the first one I wasn't picked. Even the second one, the third and the fourth, this one. So my mind was already prepared because I knew that they only needed 30,000 each out of 100,000 plus. So meaning when that was announced, I knew that I can be among the 70s. Looking at the ratio that was needed was too small. So me, if I was to be too much into expectant, like being on the 30s, I was going not to be realistic. So I had to cancel myself that let me count myself on the 70s so that should I appear on the 30s, it's going to be a surprise. But let me just dwell within the circles of these 70s. And that's what happened, that when my name was not when my name was not picked, I still felt the same way because I had already cancelled myself.
James Happy Musema, now recruited, completed his grade 12 in 2012. In 2016, James qualified with a diploma in primary education from Solwezi College of Education in Northwestern Province. Since then, he has been teaching in the private school sector until 2019, when he, with his colleagues, formed the Unemployed Teachers Association of Zambia, UTAZ, where he served as Secretary General.
In 2019, we met up with other colleagues, our association president, Mr. Francis Msonda, and other colleagues, and we decided to come up with an association called the Unemployed Teachers Association of Zambia. Basically, it was to make sure that we see the voices of unemployed teachers heard, because previously it's been tough to find that the plights of unemployed teachers are represented. Unions have been representing only unionized workers or teachers, and so the unemployed ones have had the challenges to find a voice to actually present them. And that's how we came up with Unemployed Teachers Association of Zambia in 2019. We've tried to be applying as well in different recruitments. I think my first attempt to do issues of applications was in 2018, when we had that recruitment, which was recruiting should be a number of about 3,000 teachers, if my memory serves me well. And unfortunately, wasn't successful. Yeah, so the other recruitment that came through from 2018 was another recruitment in 2020, which had the 2020-2021, which had seen, or which had the vacancies of about 1,200 teachers. Yes, it was quite, because if we can look at the statistics that were produced recently, 100,877 applicants applied in this recruitment. Now we look at that number against 1,200. You can see that it was very competitive. Yeah, it was unfortunate again that in that competition, it wasn't successful. Yes, so basically that's how the journey has been in terms of how I started and how we became an Employed Teachers Association of Zambia, and how we've been trying to apply, and so on and so forth. So I applied in the northwestern province of Zambia, and specifically that is in Kasempa district of northwestern province. Yeah, so fortunately it was successful this time around, and yeah, that's why you heard me at the beginning. I introduced myself as the outgoing Secretary General. Yeah, because we need to step down at some point and let others also take over. But the association, Unemployed Teachers Association of Zambia, will still be here, will still represent the plight of unemployed teachers, and yes, all that is related to unemployed teachers.
Yes, teacher recruitment, it was the first time this year. Having completed in 2019, graduated 2020, and then it was the first learning advert for teachers. So I applied for the first time this year. Yeah, so on that day, I was just home seated. I was waiting for the announcement, and we were following online. So most of the proceedings were aired on televisions and social media. So as we were following, around 9 hours, there was an announcement made by the chairperson to say, okay, they would dry a bit, and we were following, we waited, and they announced that it will come after 9 hours somewhere. So we are waiting, and so after the paper was given out, some people started posting, and then even on television, it was aired, people were being interviewed, their names which were selected. So the paper, since here in part it was taking long, and we were told the soft copy might be released after 14 hours. So we waited patiently, and by 16, there was some people who were posting, can you send the names or NRC, will check for you. And possibly when I sent that, I received no feedback. I knew that my name is not there. So I was prepared for even the negative news.
The Zambia National Union of Teachers, ZINUT, Deputy General Secretary of Administration and Organization, David Siamutwa, expressed excitement on the 2022 recruitment of teachers as it reduces the burden on a teacher.
Indeed, as a union, we are really excited at the recruitment of the 30,406 teachers that being sent into our schools. You may be aware that in the past, such kind of a recruitment was never heard of. Also, you may be aware that In the past, there was never a year when our teachers would go for years without being recruited, because then our teachers were being recruited just from the colleges upon their completion. But because of economic challenges or whatever reasons, we faced a situation where thousands of our teachers remained without being employed, which was so unfortunate. So now when the government this year recruits this number 30,000 plus, as a union we're really very excited. Why are we excited? It's because we know that, number one, the issue of a burden on a teacher is going to be reduced, especially in the sense of the free education policy, where we have a lot of pupils, a great influx of the children that have gone back to school, meaning the load on a teacher was too much. Now with the recruitment of this number 30,000, we feel that it has resolved a lot of challenges that we are facing in most schools. In our visit to some of the schools, you discover that there are schools that run from grade 1 to grade 7 only run by 3 people. Meaning, if these schools receive teachers, the quality that we agitate for as unions is going to be achieved.
I'm Dr. Rosia Siatambo, the CEO of the Great North Road Academy group of companies. I want to say it's a good thing because I belong to the private sector. And one of the aims, the goals that we have as a private, in conjunction with the government, we are partners with the government, is that we must help the government, assist the government in alleviating, the high unemployment levels in the country. And the news that we have 30,000 that have been recruited, it's so exciting, and we are very happy because, in the past, our offices have been flooded with a lot of, application letters. And sometimes you read the faces of those that are applying, the anguish, the frustration and all this. You feel bad to say, how can we swallow all these so that at least they can have something. So the news is a welcome news.
This recruitment excites us not because, number one, we know that we're going to receive members. Though we are not so much excited about our being so many as labor movement, because already it has eroded our authority as unions, the authority to bargain on behalf of our members. So it will just add to the numbers that we already have as a RNUT.
Majority of the applicants on Friday 15th July 2022 gathered at print media houses in Lusaka's Central Business District, hoping to get the first copies of the publications in the early hours of the morning. However, the papers only hit the streets after 9 hours.
Okay, so the first thing that I did was I had to keep calm when I heard that the names have come out. I could see people were rushing, going to the post office, on the media, a lot of news. But I just tell myself that, Sam, just calm down. If your name is there, even people just even start telling that you've seen your name. So I just to calm down. Then later on, after people had rushed, they had gotten the newspapers, they did some scanning, then information just started following me. So in my phone, I could receive a lot of scanned pictures and documents, and that gave me an opportunity even to go through without even panicking. I was even doing that while I was in bed, so I was just calm about that. Yeah.
That day, Friday the 15th of July, this year 2022, was quite tricky because the anxiety was all over amongst the applicants, and they couldn't wait any longer. So I went to town, I think around 14 hours. Unfortunately, I didn't find the newspaper, and I only found colleagues who had bought this paper already by that time, and they were busy checking there, and then there was anxiety. Each one, you want to check on their paper, and they are excited, they have found their name, and they will run away from you with their newspaper because they have seen their name already. So it was quite critical, yeah. So it was a day I can call will be remembered, especially in the lives of unemployed teachers, the applicants who participated in the 2022 teacher recruitment.
think for me, I'll continue with my journey. Like you can see, I'm teaching on voluntary. I'll continue teaching, and I'm also I'm a visual artist. Yes, I will continue working hard until I make sure that my skill is also known there, because my understanding is that it's not only that you have to be a teacher for me to make it in life. No, sometimes life it might not be exact as you want things to be, but just have to be flexible. So me, I'm flexible enough to pick up whatever opportunity that may come. Even away from my field as a teacher, I'm ready and I'm still searching out for other survival means.
It's just to wait. There's still time. We still wait for a possible recruitment. I'm sure having applied to understanding the process of recruitment, there might be possible, there might be replacement, and also the system, the commission might have having some reserves for people who applied. I'm sure the recruitment process has got procedures. So if there is possible, we might have recruitment replacement for those people who have been unable to report. Some of these passed on, those who are picked, some of the, which is unfortunate. Some maybe their spouses won't allow them to go out of town. So there are such things where they might create vacancies for possible replacement.
As much as the 30,496 are jubilating, majority of the 70,000 plus are probably dismayed, frustrated, depressed to an extent of threatening to take their own lives. Does it mean that this recruitment was the only expectation left for survival? What hope can either a recruited or not recruited teacher offer to their colleagues who are distressed and disappointed for not being selected?
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate that some of these people that I even know, some that have committed suicide, others they have expressed their disappointment bitterly. Of course, others maybe they may have some reasons as to why they are disappointed. But maybe if I can talk of those maybe that have got plans of committing suicide, that's a very, very wrong move, because you only live once in this world. But opportunities you can miss once, twice, you can expect thrice and alike. So when you lose this life, that's the end of all. But if I may lose this recruitment, but I can still have some other opportunities that may come, and then I sort on with life. So dear friends out there, I would encourage them just to be positive about life, and they still just find other things that they can do, and not to be too much expectant, especially like, look at me, I'm very young, and most of these guys that you are left, I'm sure maybe others they can be of my age, they're active, they're energetic, so their energy, they can still use it in so many ways. So of course, it will be difficult for me to say that they can do this and that, but at the end of the day, each individual, as he's interacting with the environment, you can still see, what do I need to do? Is it a business? Can I do farming? Can I do this and that? Just have to be very, very open-minded, and then be sharp, and then you just have to be very using the skills that we have at the end of the day.
First of all, we congratulate those people that have been selected. Congratulations to them, and we only hope that they go to deliver according to the expectations, because the expectation of the New Dawn government, the vision for them to actually recruit 30,000 teachers, is to see quality education as well as education for all. So we can only achieve quality education if the people that have been recruited go to discharge their duties diligently. So we wish them well, and we wish them that they go and serve according to how they are supposed to be. To our colleagues who have been left out, we've actually been communicating to them. We've been sharing our contact numbers on our Facebook page, and they've been calling, and they've been really expressing their disappointment. And yeah, so we've been using our Facebook platform to encourage them to say, no, actually, there is time for everything. And the number that applied is actually was 100,000 plus. So it was normal just to know that it's not everyone who was supposed to be picked. We only needed they only needed 30,000 to be selected and so on. So that was the reality on the ground. So each one of us was a potential candidate to be picked. My word of encouragement to them is, please, let's be strong. It is painful. We understand how painful it is when you are not selected, especially if you were very expectant of the situation that you are going to be picked, and then it turns out the opposite. Yeah, but this is not the end of the world. At the end of the tunnel, definitely there will be light. So let's be strong and move on.
This is not the end of everything. I think there is a promise that it will be a continuous recruitment. So there's nothing to lose hope for. There's hope for the future. Now, there are some of these people who completed the school as far as 2012. They were not picked, they waited, and many of them are being picked. We are picked, I can say so. So one shouldn't lose hope. We should encourage each other that there is something we can do out of it. We've seen some of these teachers who are trained creating employment by themselves, maybe by opening a school. So there's a message whereby when this road is crossed, there is possibly another alternative where God is trying to direct you to. So we need to think in other angles.
It's really very unfortunate that we started experiencing suicide amongst our trained teachers. And also, a lot of our teachers have gone into depression. It's very unfortunate. And as a NUT, we feel that if at all they can exercise a bit of patience. We know time has run out. Some of them have been waiting for over 10 years to be recruited. But still, we feel that if at all they exercised a bit more patient on their part, the government is still recruiting. This government has a great goodwill to make sure that our schools are fully equipped, in that the free education policy is not just ending now. Many more children are realizing to come back to school, meaning we expect many more teachers to fill up these gaps. Above all, we want also to urge our government to capacitate the private schools so that those that can't go into the formal recruitment by government can also be captured by these private schools. The private schools should be capacitated by way of maybe probably giving them loans and grants so that they are able to grow their capacities to fill up the gap. Because you are aware that we have so many teachers that have been left out. Out of 100 plus teachers, only 30,000 were recruited, meaning over 70,000 have been left out. So basically, we want to ask the government to quickly look into modalities of making sure that these teachers that have been left out, one, are recruited by the same government, and also those ones that remain also are capacitated to belong to the private schools. And also there are policies that the government has also brought, the issues of cooperatives. Some of them can even venture, join hands together, build their own schools and employ each other. You may be aware that apart from these that are entitled to be employed, these that are not over 45 years, a topic which is quite crucial in our country. The 45 and above are also a big number, because in a long time the government has not been recruiting properly, but instead we just get maybe 3,000 teachers, like the last one was 1,200. So we feel that if the government can also come up with policies that would make sure that everybody, all teachers that are trained, are also captured in various sectors of teaching fraternity.
I want to urge, Zambians, especially those that were not picked. I've learned something in life to say to every negative, there's always something positive. It's only that in Zambia we have so much hope. When you have so much, hope and all this and so on, without leaving that room of in case this doesn't happen, that's where people become more frustrated. So those that are focused, they'll find this beneficial. Yeah, because if you look at even some of us that are into business today, we found ourselves in some of these businesses that we are doing today because certain things could not work somewhere else. And we had now to turn around and checked now on other opportunities. Like they say, if one door closes, there are many other doors that are opening somewhere. So many of us normally look so long and so often just on one door that has closed. And by doing so, you may not see other doors that may have opened. So I would just want to encourage my brothers and sisters out there to say it is not the end of the road. The only problem that we have with the young people is they want immediate results. They want tomorrow, things must start rolling. No, so chill, take a bit of some time, relax a bit, put your pieces together, and you can restart again the formula. There's always something somewhere. Probably you were left out because there's a big business person in you. And God wants to raise a big business person in you. And probably if you would have been taken up by the government, once you go into the government, you can't do what, you can't come back. So let's try and read in between the lines, because they say to every dark cloud, there's always some light. So what is it that you're getting out of this? And some of you in the near future begin celebrating to say, now I know why I was not picked, and I'm happy that I'm comfortable where I am. So it is not the end of the road. So people should not, start getting into, killing yourself, or even getting depressed, or even getting frustrated and so on. There's always something that one can do. There's so many things that you can do. So all you can do is cool down. Give yourself some days, internalize what has happened. I know it's so painful. You had hopes, you really wanted this, but it hasn't happened. I have learned that it works out very well. When I'm hit by something, sometimes I just go somewhere, 2-3 days and so on. And then from there, the brain now start recoiling. And then ideas would now start coming back, and then I start running with that idea.
Now actually is the right time to start dropping applications, because when you look at it, I'm sure out of 30,496 teachers that you are left, I would say the greater percentage of these, they are working in private schools. So somehow it's an advantage, because they have created a room now for those that were left out. So me, what I would say is right now, start now dropping the applications right now, than too late. Or vacancies are still there. So that's what I can say to those that were left out.
Yeah, looking at the courses I did, most private schools, they rarely offer the subjects I'm trained for. So I'm specialized for Zambian languages. So most these private schools, there are very few which offer ZDL. So others, yes, it will be an advantage to them, because most of these people are recruited, they will go into government and create spaces for vacancies for those who are not picked. Yeah, so if a chance comes across, we definitely will join the private sector.
Our Facebook page has also been trying to be in touch with other private schools, or let me say private schools, and we've been posting opportunities that have opened up in the private schools. Because as teachers have been recruited, vacancies have been created out there. And so we are trying our best, and we are not sleeping until we see that our left out members also at least have something that will be putting bread on their table as we continue to move in this life and improve ourselves.
As stakeholders in the education sector, given a futuristic opportunity to the process of recruiting teachers, what would you do differently?
The recruitment, I must commend the team that was actually doing this process of recruitment, because the number of applications received was overwhelming, and of course it needed committed people for them to reach at the end of the process successfully. I must say that there was a total professionalism in this process. Well, but despite that, I feel there are certain things that can still be addressed even as we have reached at this point. And some of these things are issues to do with the database. We've been communicated to about the database and saying people have been put in the database. But from the beginning of this process, there was an issue, or rather there were guidelines that were attached to the advert. And these guidelines stated that If you do ABCD, for example, if you have not paid the 10 kwacha for verification, you might not be successful, and so on and so forth. So people are anxious out there, especially those who have been left out. They want to hear from the commission or the ministry itself about who is in the database and who is not. And how are they going to do that? I think we have the lists of those who are picked in the, we have the PDF lists. They can still publish those PDF lists so that people know whether they are in the database or maybe they were dropped. Because we must know that at the beginning of the recruitment there were 3 positions or other categories of where someone would belong at the end of publication of names. And that's either you are selected, you are reserved in the database, or you were dropped for failure to meet the requirements that were set. So people are anxious. They want to know where they belong.
The recruitment process was watertight, such that we just want the government to go further by making sure that the education system is technologically captured, where we are talking about teachers' files shouldn't be tackled manually, but let there be a system, let the way Teaching Council is doing it, where a teacher can fill in his or her details online and the system is updated. So differently done in that way, as a union we shall really appreciate if at all technology becomes the center and the ambassador in the midst of education, so that we have these details for the teachers already captured. Unlike a situation where physical files move from an office to the next office, we feel that can also be improved, because it has happened during this recruitment where there was no physical movement of application letters for the teachers to apply.
The only way that I would look at this issue, maybe the government in the near future should look at, the pressure. I'll give you an example of the applicants. When they looked at the number, we're talking about 100 and plus that had applied. And probably you'll find that half of that number was coming from the private schools, people that are already working. So for me, I think it's something that the government must, there's something that the government must work on, so that, at the end of the day, people should not always be hopping from to say, oh, they're looking forward, even when they're in the private, they're looking forward to getting into the government. So this is what is creating now the pressure of even those that are already in the private also looking forward to get into the government. So there's something that probably the government can do, especially that private schools are supplementing the efforts of the government. Like in other whatever countries, where I've heard where you find that partially the government comes in to cushion even the salaries. You're talking about even maybe relief on the part of the private schools in terms of taxes and other things. What is it that they can do so that the conditions can be at least better in the private? And if we make that equal, then it simply means there will be no much pressure for the people to want to go into the government, because everyone now, even those that are in the private, they feel like, oh, the government, that's where we must do what we must go. But in the private sector, there are so many things probably that will need to be done so that we level the playing field.
So the quote that I live by is a quote from the Bible, which says, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your soul, with all your mind, because there's no work in the grave where you are going. So for those that have committed suicide, where in the grave where they have gone, there's no job, there's no employment, they are just like resting. But me, as long as I'm living, I will continue working hard. If it means I have whatever opportunity that comes, I'll do it with the best of my ability. Whatever that comes along, for as long as it's within my reach, I'll take that up and then I do it with all my... So at the end of the day, the same Bible says, after hard work, you should always rejoice. So that's my approach to life.
I believe as a teacher, you have to be driven by passion. Yeah, in anything you do, you do it, when you do it with passion, you excel, you succeed. So in whatever you do, the focus should be passion. Are you really passionate on doing the thing you are doing? So if you are a teacher, you are called, you have to be passionate about doing the job you are called for.
We hope you enjoyed watching that documentary, and we surely hope that all the newly recruited teachers manage to be at their respective District Education Board offices by the 25th of July 2022 to finalize all the administrative processes as they look forward to serving in their new portfolios. All the best to the over 30,000 teachers recruited in the 2022 teacher recruitment program. You can share your feedback on this documentary by emailing us documentaries@diamondtvzambia.com, or you can simply inbox us on our Facebook page, Diamond TV Zambia. Thank you so much for the pleasure of your company. On behalf of my crew, I'm Francesca Piribanda. Stay blessed.